Now I know there's a lot of full suspension riders that watch this channel, I know. Which is kind of what sparked me to make this video, because y'all are asking me, well, how come you bought a hardtail and not a full suspension now? Now is the time. You should have just, because you upgraded your bike, you should have just bought a full suspension. Well, I'm trying to go through the reasons why I didn't do that. For us, the first obvious thing is trail feedback. We have an inordinate amount of fun on the trails, on our hardtails. We love it when we're going down the trail, you know, the back end is just chattering away and you feel it through your bones. Yeah, we love that feeling. You know, lets you know you're alive. Yeah, it taxes the body. Yeah, it tires you out quicker. But man, is it ever fun. Trail feedback, not just the chatter, but like when you're going down a good run, a good flow section, and you hear that notorious tire sound hitting the dirt, and just everything that you give to the bike gives back to you. Yeah, it's just awesome. The trail feedback is one of the main reasons why we ride hardtails still. Now going to the most obvious reason why a lot of people ride hardtails is the overall outright cost of a hardtail. Usually your first bike ever is a hardtail. You can get more for $3,000 on a hardtail component wise than you can on a full suspension. So that's another reason why you'd want to maybe think of a hardtail. The cost for maintenance, that's another thing. It costs less to maintain a hardtail. Just in the fact that you don't have any pivot points on a hardtail. There's none. And in those pivot points on a full suspension, you have bearings, press fit bearings. So you generally have to replace those bearings. It's a good rule of thumb to replace them once a year. Overall cost of maintenance is much cheaper. And also when you wash your bike, you have less areas to create or cause water damage. Especially if you don't know how to properly wash your bike. So that goes into like the ease of maintenance as well. It's just easier to maintain. You have less things to really go wrong. With a hardtail, you don't have even a rear shock. So a rear shock can be just as much as a fork. So yeah, the shock is a huge expense for a full suspension. So to us, having a good fork on the front end of the bike is a game changer, and just having fun on the bike, getting that feedback, and not really worrying about the cost and stuff like that. All the power you put into the bike goes into the bike. In the hardtail setup, you don't lose any power that you put into the bike. You get all the power you put down into the cranks, you get out of the bike. I love it when I can get into a punchy climb situation, just drop the gearing and then just punch it out. Now I know there's a lot of full suspension riders that watch this channel, I know. Which is kind of what sparked me to make this video, because y'all are asking me, how come you bought a hardtail and not a full suspension now? Now is the time. You should have just, because you upgraded your bike, you should have just bought a full suspension. Well, I'm trying to go through the reasons why I didn't do that. So, and I know that full suspensions have come a long way, but this is just my personal thing, and my son's personal thing. We just love riding hardtails. The other thing is, a hardtail makes the easiest trails just that much more fun. You can take a super boring trail. Really though, is any trail boring? Like really? Seriously? So you can take a green trail, let's say, and it can be super fun because of the trail feedback again and all the other stuff that goes into it. you can really relive your network when you have a hardtail. And just like, whoa, you know, this trail is actually way more fun on a hardtail. You know, full suspension is good for this trail. Hardtail is good for this trail. That's why a lot of people have a full suspension and a hardtail and a dirt jumper and this and that. I only have the one bike. My son has his hardtail, his Kona, and that used BMX he bought. So yeah, it makes somewhat mediocre trails just that much more fun. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is what everyone talks about. A hardtail makes you pick better lines, right? Well, for me, wrong. This whole mountain bike thing on YouTube is so saturated. Everyone always says the same stuff, the same advice. Well, I want to try and look at this a little bit differently. Does my hardtail make me a better rider? I don't know. The more time you spend in the saddle, the better rider you're going to become just naturally. Whether you're on a hardtail or a full suspension, it doesn't matter. But most people talk about the right line choice as like in relation to speed. So the faster you can ride down this one section of trail, you're going to pick this line because it's the fastest section you can ride on whatever bike that you have at whatever skill level you currently have. We pick a line, the most obvious line first, right? Okay, this line, you know, it's got some go-arounds, the rock section, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But then you look at line B and think and say to yourself, okay, if I pick this line, I'm going to die or hurt myself. But I'm going to pick this line because it's going to make me a better rider. Is it a hardtail that makes you pick more smoother lines and that's what you want out of a hardtail, which makes you a better rider? Or is it the fact that I have a hardtail and I pick dumb lines, I pick maybe not so smart lines riding a hardtail because I want to learn how to ride that so-called dumb line better and smoother on a hardtail. If I had a full suspension and could just barrel through it, okay, you have a full suspension, just barrel through it. People talk about this all the time, how full suspensions just save your butt. You don't even realize that you just got saved by your bike. So on a hardtail, I'm picking line B because it's a line that I really want to ride on a hardtail because I know that that's going to make me a better rider. And talking about hardtail giving trail feedback, you're going to immediately get the feedback that you need to realize that, oh, wait a second, this might not be such a dumb line after all, but here's what my bike is saying to me. I need to make this part of the trail or this part of that line smoother in order to get faster on it and in order to get more confidence on it. Once I do that, then I can be a more confident rider on the trail as a whole. So, does it make you a better rider riding a hardtail? I don't think so. Does it make you choose better lines? Well, maybe if that's your way of thinking about it, but maybe open up the box a little bit and think about it like this. Choose weird lines. Choose lines that you would never normally ride on a hardtail and learn how to ride those lines smoother and therefore faster and therefore more confidently. So that's my view on why I ride a hardtail. My son could echo me because I know that's why he rides the hardtails. And if you found this video interesting or helpful, give it a like, please, and consider subscribing if you've made it this far. And if you're lucky enough to ride right now, because as I look out the window, it's just coming down for snow. We had spring, like 15-degree weather 2 days ago, literally. And now we're into -5 and snow again. So, welcome to Niagara weather. So like I was gonna say, if you're fortunate enough to ride right now, keep the rubber side down, and we'll see you in the next one.